Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. So I've come to the end of some of my paint colours. I've been painting with some blues recently, a yellow, a pink and some black. And I don't want to waste the small amounts of paint that are left. So I was thinking, how can I create a painting using all my leftovers? So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I think I'm going to adopt the puddle and swipe technique. And I'm just going to see how it goes. So this is unplanned. Of course, I've got all my colours that have been mixed up, some with just water, some with pouring medium and water. So I've got a combination of consistency. So let's see what we can create with the paints that we've got left over onto a canvas that I'm also repurposing. So this is all about recycling canvases that you no longer want anymore, or that you might want to repurpose, and also using up all your paints so you don't waste a drop. So that's today's experiment. I hope it goes well. As always, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to take you down to see the colours that I've got left over. Let's see what we can create. Okay, so here's my setup at the moment. I've got a canvas that I'm going to repurpose. You can see I've already painted the sides black. This was okay. It's got some kind of defects on the surface area, so I'm just going to repurpose this one and create something new. So here are all the colours that I've got left over. I've got some blues, a pink, a yellow, a couple of metallics. I've got my silver and my copper. So you can see that there's not much left in some of these. I do have some black for the base. That's what I'm going to use along with those other colours. But this is really just about utilising what I've got left over, recycling a canvas that I no longer want, and seeing what new creation we can create with these leftovers and this repurposed canvas. So it's experiment day. Let's go. So I'm going to start with some lamp black. This paint is mixed with some pouring medium, and it's my usual consistency of 1-1-3. 1 part paint, 1 part water, 3 parts pouring medium. So let's see how this mixes with the paints that we've already got. So once I've placed some black on the base, I'm then going to use my paints up and puddle those on the canvas. And one thing that I did really want to say is whenever I repurpose a canvas, I do get messages from people just saying, we really wish you'd kept that canvas, or it's a shame that you've painted over it. And sometimes I totally agree with you, but it's all about making sure that I don't waste anything, and I don't want canvases just to sit there without being repurposed. So although it's quite sad sometimes painting over an original creation, it's almost giving it another direction, a new lease of life, and a brand new painting on top. So never feel sad about recreating some pieces over the top of existing canvases, because it will sell to the right buyer at the right time, or it will reach that person that really needs to see that for whatever reason. So I'm just going to rely on the creativity process, really enjoy and celebrate being in that moment, and not worrying too much about where that painting is going in the end. A painting will always find its rightful owner. So if you cover it up with a new painting, then that person was meant to have both. Anyway, I'm now going to get on with the process. You can see that I'm puddling the paints on the canvas, and then we continue with the process overall. So the puddles of paint are now down on my surface area, and now comes the swipe. So this is a cell activator, and when I talk about a cell activator, it's basically two components mixed together. White paint in this instance, and that's titanium white by Amsterdam, mixed with Australian Floetrol. Now, if you can't get hold of Australian Floetrol, there are other ways to create cells and lacing, sometimes with just paint and water, silicone and other additives, so just experiment. But if you check out the description box, expand that below, I give you some ideas about what you could use as an alternative. So I'm just swiping through to create some cells, and then I'm going to stretch this piece out and ensure that the paint covers the full surface area of the canvas. So what I'd really like to share is when you're stretching your paint out across your canvas, just take your time. Don't rush. Don't be in such a rush to push the paint all off the canvas and onto the table. Sometimes place it down back on its stand. Step back and have a look at the overall composition. That's the balance of the piece. And in this case, it's about the balance of the block colours from the puddles of paint that we've placed on the canvas, compared to the lacing and cells created with the swipe, and also that negative space on the base as well. So it's about really mindfully taking your time, not rushing the process, and really having a good look at that composition and that overall pattern that you're creating on top. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm happy with this one. I'm placing it back on its stand, and let me now take you in for a closer look at this wet version. I love this section just here. It reminds me of a fish. And that's one thing that I really love about fluid art and abstract art. When you look at a piece, there could be so many things that you can see. And I'd love to know what you see in this piece. So if you can see something, let me know in the comments below. I love hearing all of your interpretations, so please make sure that you do that. And if you're enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out if you can. It's really important for me to reach people across YouTube who may be interested in this type of art form and the art that we can create together. So a big thank you in advance for doing that. I've of course let this dry, and this is the dry version. And it's completely different from the canvas design that I covered up. I'm glad this bit here has kind of remained separate from all the other parts, because there's something special there within that one, and I really like that. And I'm really pleased with the overall look. I have that balance of that webbing and that lacing that's been stretched out in this corner. There are some finer details in other areas, and there's those bold blocks of colour across the full canvas. So if you're using up your paints, let me know what you're doing. You don't always have to combine a couple of techniques, and it's just about exploring, having fun, and allowing your creativity to have that freedom without any boundaries. So what I would say is have fun, have a great week ahead. A big thank you for all of your support. It really means the world to me. And I really do hope I get to see you again in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.